I'm going to talk a little bit about my expat relocation experience, and then look at something that really lays close to my heart and the reason I'm in Guyana, and that is to do with the local content strategy. So, Guyana, as I said, although it doesn't have beautiful beaches and bright blue seas, it does have an awful lot of things to go and see. So I'm just going to go through a few of did you knows about Guyana. So Guyana is actually home to one of the most impressive waterfalls, the Kaita Falls, and it's actually the world's widest single drop. If you're ever in Guyana, get out of Georgetown and do go and visit. It is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot more to Guyana than just Georgetown, I promise you that. Anyone who is an English-speaking background, it is obviously a bit easier to do business. It is the only English-speaking nation in South America. An interesting fact, 70% of Guyana is actually uninhabited. There's a lot of wildlife, a lot of greenery there. There's two major towns, Berbice and Georgetown, and that's where a lot of the business is done and a lot of the people are located. It is home to one of the largest gold mines in the world. It has such a rich, diverse population. The Guyana population is actually bigger outside of Guyana than it is inside Guyana, believe it or not. And I'm going to run through that as part of the local content strategy in terms of what an international company should be focusing on to combat that. The name Guyana means land of many waters. There is a lot of water and a lot of rain, but it's also very sunny in stages. The Guyana was actually originally known as the breadbasket of the Caribbean. Although that has slightly changed recently because there is a lot more import than export these days. Hopefully, with this new emerging industry, that money can be reinvested in agriculture and other industries as part of that ripple effect. Now, one of the most important things, and I was lucky enough to live right next to the cricket ground, is if you don't like cricket, get to know it now. The Guyanese are absolutely mad about the Amazon Warriors. I will not mention the latest result in the CPL, but we did fairly well, I believe. I'll not say much more than that, but hopefully be better next year. There's two major functions in Guyana, apart from MBW, who are also great help with the integration into Guyana. There is a Centre for Local Business Development and also the Chamber of Commerce for industries, who are a good source for information, guidance, and networking. Now, I'm going to touch on the kind of do's and don'ts within Guyana, and this is something that lays close to my heart, and it's one of the reasons why I'm in Guyana. One of the main things I will say is don't confuse local content with just filling your percentage workforce with the Guyanese. This is not about numbers. This is about investing in assets, investing in people, the long-term benefit for Guyana and the Guyanese people. When you go to Guyana, I would say the biggest asset is the people. The people are so welcoming, they're passionate, they're intelligent, and this is their moment. And throughout history, I think Guyana has probably not had the best access to the other CARICOM countries. You know, Trinidad's is very developed. They've had oil for many years, and this is now Guyana's time to shine and really invest in the Guyanese people. So recruit Guyanese throughout your human resources. You know, you don't just need an engineering degree to work in oil and gas. There's other trade skills that people have. Although it's a new industry, they have transferable skills which are very highly sought for companies like OES. Implement personal and career development programs. Use succession planning and really invest in your Guyanese people, your Guyanese workforce to drive your business forward. Provide world-leading and accredited training courses. We want to be giving the Guyanese people the best in global training to set the benchmark going forward. One thing I love to do is always to empower my workforce, and I always find I get a great response from that by giving the people within the workforce the ability to make decisions, the ability to do critical thinking and drive your business forward. Next slide. So I'm going to look a bit on local content strategy, focusing on two main elements. The first element is education. Now, we're just going to look at the Prosperity Index as of 2019, comparing Guyana to Trinidad and Tobago and the United Kingdom. Now, as you can see, the world ranking, Guyana is relatively low at the moment. However, if we are to change this as an international company to help this nation and the people of this country going forward, the catalyst for change to improve your prosperity across all sectors is education. Education is the most powerful tool you can use to change the world. A once famous man said, Nelson Mandela. And I'm a strong believer that education is the key for the long-term success and prosperity of Guyana. Looking at the map there in terms of the education system and the rankings globally, Guyana at the moment, although the secondary education and primary education is relatively good, it seems to drop off when it goes to higher education at university level. And this is where international companies need to be integrating with educational institutions and training, whether it be academia or vocational. It doesn't really matter. We need both for the industry. And this is something international companies really need to really promote as a catalyst for change going forward. Education index score is 9.34, and it's actually ranked number 37 within the region as a progressive nation, which is really good. Literacy skills here are very good. However, there's a bit of a gap between literacy and vocational, turning that academia into something practical. So this is something where vocational education would work very good to really drive the employability within the Guyanese people. And that's something that we can certainly help with. Now, just look at the figure. I've tried to get the most accurate figure I could get, but there's around 2 million Guyanese living outside of Guyana. And around 34% of those who left for a better education. Now, if you look at those that left and those that returned with a better education, roughly only 5% of those returned to Guyana to continue their career. And I think this, as a catalyst, is something that international companies like OES can tune into to help. We need to build the education system in Guyana to make it so that the Guyanese people can get a higher education in Guyana, or those people that have left Guyana have the willingness to come back to Guyana to prolong and to take their career forward. So some bits of advice I would give is to build strong ties to government education departments, Guyanese education institutes, and become a catalyst for the connection to world-leading education providers. Introduce within your career development programs scholarships, so taking kids from school through to an apprenticeship scheme into an academy, giving them the right vocational skills, the right academic learning, and the on-site practical experience in order to really progress their career long-term. Inspire and invest in the next generation through education. Build a compelling case for higher educated Guyanese to return to Guyana. There is a lot of fantastic opportunities now in Guyana, not just in the oil and gas industry, but other sectors that are also rising with that ripple effect. And it's important that we prioritise the Guyanese people for these roles. This is their chat, this is their opportunity, this is their time. And it's important that we really push that and have that as a key focus. Build a compelling case for the next generation of Guyana to complete their higher education in Guyana. So just so you know what OES are doing in the background, we are in advanced discussions with various global education providers, universities, vocational training providers, and linking them to local Guyanese institutions. And being that link between the two, getting the communication going and funding various education systems, bringing scholarships in place, etc. So we're trying our best to provide the link and the catalyst for change in that sector. Employment, so that's education. And I think that's what an international company should do in terms of education as part of their local content strategy. The next one is employment, and they sit side by side really. But one of our key sayings is, it is your attitude that will determine your altitude, not your aptitude. I think it's important that the oil and gas industry isn't alienated. I think it should be accessible to everyone in Guyana. Everyone should be given a fair chance for employment. ExxonMobil have led the way. I think it's over 2,000 Guyanese working now. But if you look at the figures on the top left-hand side table here, the percentage of unemployment was drastically reducing up until 2018, 2019. COVID came, and unfortunately, the forecast is that unemployment will increase. Now, as an international business coming in, I want to help prevent that. I want to help reduce the unemployment for Guyanese going forward by making it accessible to everyone, giving them training, giving them vocational training, giving them academic training and experience. And I think that needs to be a key agenda to any international company coming to Guyana. Invest in the Guyanese. Now, as part of that employability, I think it's very important that you give your workforce equity. Now, equity is split up into diversity and inclusion. Diversity in terms of gender diversity, diversity in the workforce, giving everyone a fair chance within the workforce and in their employability. We found if you include diversity in your workforce, you will get an increase in innovation, you will get an increase in creativity, and you'll get an increase in productivity. If you have inclusion as well as diversity in your workforce, you will have enhanced engagement. You will have improved job satisfaction. You will have enhanced morale. You will have increased trustworthiness and a community responsiveness. If you have diversity and inclusion within your workforce, you will have equity at your company. And I think giving the Guyanese equity in the workforce is the most crucial part to really progress the country going forward. So just to kind of finish off, it's always good to back up what I'm saying with some research. Workplace diversity leads to innovation. Inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be innovation leaders in their market. Workplace diversity leads to better decision-making. Workplace diversity generates higher job acceptance rates. Companies with diverse workforce outperform its competitors. Racial and ethnically diverse companies outperform industry norms by 35%. So there is proof in the pudding. What I'm saying, it does work. International companies have an opportunity here. There's no such thing about as making a quick buck, and you need to be here long term. You need to be here on succession planning, and you need to be doing what is best for Guyana and the Guyanese people long term. Any questions, either now or any time during this call? Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Adam. You are speaking my language here. I know a lot of the oil and gas companies, especially in the developing world, do a lot of what you're talking about, the scholarships, the apprenticeships. I think they really do work. It's a good way of getting people to learn by doing and to share the knowledge. So I think that's great. Just for the listening public, can you tell me a little bit about the size of OES and if you've actually started to do the asset integrity work, and how are you thinking of ramping up during your time in Guyana?
Yes, so we have our entity registered. We have our facility in Eccles Industrial Estate ready to go.
Right.
And we currently have 8 Guyanese personnel. Now, we started this process, we did the recruitment about 18 months before we got operational ready. So what we did is, because we are a global company, we have a global presence. So from Canada, the US, Brazil, the UK, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, all the way over to Asia. What we did is we employed Guyanese technicians 18 months ago, and we put them to train in Brazil. We put them to work in the US. They got their experience and their training abroad to bring that back to Guyana. So as of last week, we have them all back in Guyana, ready to hit the upcoming inspection season, which is November, December. So they've had one of the best training academies for what we do and the experience globally, which I think has been great.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. So I see you have actually put into practice and you've got them trained up. Someone is asking where you're located, and I believe you said you're in the Eccles Development Estate, right?
Yes, Eccles Industrial Estate, yes.
Excellent. So thank you for that.
Just another